What up guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today and I'm back with another video. Now today's video I want to talk about Lex Luthor and why can't he beat Superman in a fight and why always his plans always fail against Superman, even though he has been fighting him forever, has like infinite amount of resources, is 12th level intellect, and has fought him multiple times, but also knows his weaknesses and has exploited them time and time again, but has always failed. And I want to get more in depth into why that is, or just talking about Lex in general. Now, the obvious answer is because Superman has plot armor. Now, you would assume somebody as powerful as Superman wouldn't need plot armor, he would just be OP. But let's be honest, Superman does have a lot of weaknesses and a lot of ways to be exploited. And even though he is quite powerful, he isn't as powerful as a lot of people say he is, and he can be beaten. It's just that a lot of times when he is in danger, he gets some BS ass pull on why he survives, especially against Lex Luthor, who should be, if we're being reasonable and logical with everything that he has going for him, he should have significant advantages in beating Superman. Now, it is hard to beat Superman, obviously. I'm not saying he's an easy fight and a chump to beat, but he does have blatantly obvious weaknesses, and Lex Luthor has tried many different ways, and they've always failed. And I do want to go into his plan and his strategy and why it's kind of stupid. And if I was Lex Luthor, even with my normal level of intellect, I could easily whoop Superman's ass. And I just feel like they've given Superman some insane plot armor or dumbed down Lex Luthor whenever he comes to, fighting against Superman. Now, you would assume usually characters like Batman would need high levels of plot armors to save him, since he's just a human in a world full of, superpowered beings. And that is the case, but Superman is also a highly, has high plot armor, because there's many times that Lex Luthor, with his 12th level intellect, as he always loves to brag about, should have been able to beat him. And with the 12th level intellect, he should be comparable to, Brainiac, who's a supercomputer, beyond even Krypton's level of intelligence, and all those people were like high-level scientists and shit. And he's super smart. He can go through I think they said the source wall with his intelligence, or at least match it or whatever. And he has a high-level intellect, but he still can't beat Superman with blatantly obvious weaknesses. So let's get into the scenario. Now, one, he has high level intellect, so that means he should be, very creative with his ingenuity and how to beat him with, making different mechs, different, chemistry, because he has great chemistry skills and technical skills. Also his strategy. He also has a lot of money, so he can afford to buy a bunch of expensive equipment to help him to beat Superman. And then with his obvious understanding of Superman's weaknesses, it's easier to exploit. Like, green kryptonite weakens him, and prolonged exposure can kill him. Blue kryptonite takes away his powers, and prolonged exposure can get rid of it completely. He can red sun, I think, red sun solar radiation can deplete him of his power. Though it does take a whole day for his power to be completely depleted, he's vulnerable to magic like any other person. And I think there's a couple more, but there's other ways to beat Superman. And usually when we see Lex Luthor fighting Superman, what is the way he fights him? He usually just creates a generic-ass mech suit with kryptonite power, where he fires either a kryptonite, energy blast, or use kryptonite staff or whatever bullshit. And he always does that. He always gets his ass beat. He's always struggling against Superman, and he never gets the dub doing this, but he keeps on doing this plan over and over again. He either does this plan or pulls out a rock and just holds it and tries to beat him physically or shoot him with a gun. And it's like, how fucking stupid are you? That's your only two plans that you constantly do? Like, you literally just create the same repetitive ass mech suit with kryptonite in it, or hold kryptonite and try to beat him physically? That's the dumbest shit. There are so many possibilities that he could use to beat Superman, yet he does in the dumbest, most contrived ways possible. And it's just like, it makes me look at him like, are you really that smart, or are you just a dumbass who exaggerates your intelligence? Because he does seem completely stupid, if I'm being honest. Like I said, if it was me, I would have beat his ass long ago. I would have known his weaknesses. I'm like, I'm getting this bitch, I'm completely fucking him up. Like, it's just so weird to me that this guy is like so fucking trash. Like, and there's a couple of scenarios and ways that I would think of beating Superman. And we've seen even Batman, how he's beaten him. And the ways Batman has beaten him, it's not even that complex to beat Superman. And he's seen creatures that can, challenge him and beat him. Darkseid, Doomsday, Zod. I'm trying to think of. There was another guy that gives Superman the work physically. I don't remember, but there's tons of other people. There's so many other ways he can do it, but he's like always so unbelievably dumb. Like when he made Connor Kent, which was a clone of Superman with his DNA in it. It was like, so you basically weakened him with your human DNA, and what was your plan to beat Superman with him? A weaker version of him that he in the end took with him, and now is working with him. He's just a moron. I'm sorry, he's a dipshit. For one of the smartest characters, he has some of the dumbest, fuck ups. Even the Joker. Joker is smart, but he should not be as smart as Lex Luthor, and he's easily able to handle, Superman. He's considered light work. So what does that make Lex? A dumbass. And it's not that, Joker thinks outside the box. It's, no, Lex Luthor is just a dipshit. And I'm going to get into ways to beat him. Now, one way is to make kryptonite into a powdery form so it gets absorbed easily through his bloodstream. Because the rock form, it glows the energy into him, which his body and his skin absorbs it, but it isn't a slower process, so he can usually fight it through it and actually beat his opponents, which he's done countless times, shown multiple times against Lex's mech suits, especially in this new comic. There's a new comic where Superman got a power boost, and in this one he uses psychics. I forgot what his name was. Manchester Black. He uses his psychic powers and puts into a machine to set out the psychic signal to to erase people's memories of Clark Kent, because they found out Clark Kent and Superman are the same person. I don't know, I haven't read DC Comics in a while, but they knew that, and he was erasing that, and that was his big plan to fight Superman. And then Superman unlocked new powers, which I'll probably get into at some later point. I don't want to talk about it now because it's been newly introduced and we don't know where he stands in the power. I know DC fans and Superman fans love to ride his meat so much to the point they're like, oh my gosh, new power, he's unbelievably strong. Like, yes, he might be, but just take some time before you ride his meat a little, So for me, I'm going to take some time for that, but in that one, he was just going to use his mech suit. He touched him and disrupted it. Now, even if he didn't get his power boost, he would have still beat Lex's ass, let's be honest. Lex has done this plan like 10,000 times. Like, this guy's a dipshit. Like, his best plan was literally using psychic stuff, so that was stupid. So, he usually uses the rock physically, and it goes through his skin by the radiation coming into contact with it, which does take a lot of time, and he can still fight through it. Personally, I would choose blue kryptonite because yes, green kryptonite can hurt him, but blue kryptonite can take away his powers. That's far more vital in a fight than green kryptonite. Now, obviously, green kryptonite is easier to get your hands on than blue kryptonite, but let's be honest, with his resources and his tech and his intelligence, getting blue kryptonite is not an impossible task. So he should be able to get it, and with his knowledge, he should be able to, construct, the energy patterns of the green kryptonite. Because let's be honest, of it's sending out a radiation level, it will be in the spectrum of, radiation that we see. Radio waves, X-rays, gamma rays. It's on the weaker side, obviously, because if it's strong, it'll kill humans a lot easier. Lex Luthor does get kryptonite poisoning, which is basically radiation poisoning from kryptonite, but it's because his dumbass held it in his pocket for years. Like, once again, 12th level intellect, but his dumbass couldn't tell that a radioactive rock, even if it's a small level, carrying that with you constantly for years, out in the open, you're possibly going to get cancer from that, right, dumbass? Right? Just a little? But no, he's too stupid to understand that. He could literally, since he doesn't need a physical rock. He could literally match the, copy the energy signature and create some, a radiation machine that can generate it to maybe in a even more intense level, more direct level against Superman, or even copy blue kryptonite where it completely takes away his powers and can kill him easily, because then he would just have to kill him physically. Or do what Batman did when he had the contingency plan. Though I think this was in the movie, I don't think this was in the comic version. They did a little bit differently between the two. But in the movie one, what happened was when Ra's al Ghul got it, he gave it to Metallo, and he shot him with the green kryptonite bullet, and he would have died. It was going into his heart. But then he got saved by, I think, Batman, and he pulled it out of his heart to save him. But if he didn't have that help there, he would have been dead. So I guess a green kryptonite bullet can also work. He can't really detect it. So you can do that. You can create the generation of, generate the green green radiation into a more intense level so it works more potently, or use one that matches blue level so you don't need to get the blue rocks, you can just match the radio waves. With his intelligence and his money, he should be able to do that to beat him. Or create dust particles to beat him that will go into his bloodstream a lot more directly. Batman kind of did this in the Laughing Joker storyline, where they go to the other alternative realities where he's beating the shit out of Batman. He gets a doomsday thingy where he makes some kryptonite, stab him through his chest. So he basically pours it into his body. That was also a smart way. But he can also make nanobots with kryptonite particles within them that they go into his stream and then, inject it inside his body. Obviously, with Superman's microscopic vision, he would be able to see it, and probably with his super hearing, he would be able to hear it. But I'm pretty sure, if let's say he's fighting Lex Luthor in close range, and he's beating the shit out of him in his crappy ass mech suit, he puts his hand on his face and fires this thing right into his bloodstream. Even if he can see it, it's going to be inside him right away, and he doesn't have no power to directly attack what's inside of him. So it would still, affect him that way. So you can do that. The red sun radiation might sound like it's useful, but like I said, 24 hours to completely deplete him, it is kind of ass. But maybe you can amplify the magnitude of the power just like how you do for the green kryptonite radiation. But I think using magic is his best bet. Because yes, he can have some resistance, but from what I've seen, usually sharp magical weapons are the most effective, because it's what's more effective, sharp damage or piercing damage or slashing damage or blunt damage. Blunt damage can be deadly, especially the amount of force you have, but piercing and slashing is far more quicker and easier to hurt somebody. And with somebody with his durability, even if let's say he's not he has no protection against it, he's still durable enough to handle some significant damage. But when it comes to something sharp like a knife or a sword, it could cut him and stuff, or use magical spells to transform into other things, or take away his powers and stuff. And we see this in Marvel, where there's the mix of magic and technology, and Lex can do that too. Unless he's I'm against magic so much. It's really, if you're that desperate to beat him, you wouldn't give a shit. So he could have mixed in made some enchanted magical armor with kryptonite in it. That way you could have had a double whammy, but no, he just goes for the basic green thing. And there's so many different ways to beat him, like I said. You can trap him in different things, and there's magical spells and incantations he can learn and use. And with this 12th level intellect, he can fuck with him mentally. There's so many things he can do to beat him. I just feel like he's wasting his potential, and his level of threat isn't that high. And let's be honest, obviously we can't have Lex win, but it does seem like either they make Lex sound unbelievably stupid when he's supposed to be incredibly smart, or they make it sound like Superman has complete insane plot armor, which is never a good sign of writing. It's always a bad sign of writing when you have to put plot armor to defend your character's physical attributes or why they're able to win. But let's be honest, logically, he should be able to beat him pretty easily. Kryptonite is obviously a pretty easy way. Red sun radiation is a pretty trash way to beat him. Every time a character uses that way, it doesn't really work out well. But I think the magic is really good. If he just gets some magical weapons like a knife or a sword, it's easy to get. With your money, you can obtain that, and there's a bunch of magical beings you could work with and just get that shit. Lex is, I don't know, he does it the most basic way. It's always that two ways that I always see it. He either makes the basic mech suit, which always gets busted, uses the green kryptonite, always gets busted, or he just holds out a green kryptonite rock. And people think that Lex Luthor should be able to beat Iron Man. Iron Man's, his buster suits might fail against the people he's fighting against, but at least he's building something creative and doing something unique. He's like, oh, this suit doesn't work? I'm going to have this, that. He has many different things. Him, he's like, I'm going to use this one over and over again. It keeps on failing, but I'm going to keep on using it. Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. And his suit isn't that powerful either. It's you have the Blue Beetle Scarab, which is insanely powerful. That's better than any tech that Lex Luthor ever made. You would think with his 12th level intellect, he'd be able to reverse engineer a Blue Beetle Scarab and make it kryptonite powered, so he can use it. So he has the more powerful and advanced tech of the Scarab, from the Blue Beetle, but also have kryptonite, which is even more against Superman. Or use magic or something else. Come on, what the fuck, man? Be a little more creative. You've been having this guy for what, 75, 80, maybe 85 years? Or actually, more than that. It's 90 years at this point. It's close to 100 years since Superman's been in comics since, I think it was 1931 or 1935. Around there. But he's had so much time, and he's been doing the same thing over and over again. And I just think at this point, Lex should be classified as a certified dumbass. He's a complete dipshit. I'm pretty sure you guys watching this can find 10,000 million different ways to beat Superman, even with his power. But like his vulnerabilities and weaknesses are very, very obvious and very, very easy to exploit. And Batman's done it multiple times before. And even the Killing Joke thing, we've seen throughout all these other alternative realities how Batman's been able to kill Superman many different ways. So it's not like he's impossible. It's just I think Lex is overrated when it comes to his intelligence. So yeah, if I was him, I would be a menace. I would be running amok. I'll be fucking up everything with my level of intelligence of his. Man, I would make Darkseid my bitch. That's how fucking crazy I would be, because I'm smart enough to fucking figure these things out, but apparently a 12th level intellect like him isn't. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.